Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by the Ryan Martin Foundation. Today we have our episode with 2024 Paralympic hopeful Hannah Sloan. She's a paraswimmer and she's going to tell us all about how much this sport means to her and what she's learned about herself through swimming. Please welcome Hannah. Well, Hannah, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Super excited to get to know more about you because I feel like we have so many mutual friends in this small circle of paraswimming that I've kind of dug myself into, I guess, but lovely to meet you. First, can you just kind of start with who you are and what you do?
So I'm Hannah. I'm a Paralympic hopeful for Paris 2024. I swim at a D1 college in Maryland, and I'm a psych major. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I was not a D1 athlete. I'll tell you that. I was not an athlete. So that's amazing. I'm sure you're killing it. But I want to kind of backtrack with who you are. You're swimming. How did you find swimming to be your sport, like from the very beginning?
So I have cerebral palsy. So that basically it started off as a as like sort of a type of physical therapy for me. And then it sort of morphed. I saw a lot of people competing. I was like, man, I really want to do that. So I just sort of went from there. I've only been swimming for about 6, 7 years, so fairly new.
Yes, that is 6 or 7 years longer than I've been swimming. So you're doing great. I will say I think I did one summer of swim team. I feel like I've told this story on the show too, maybe when I was interviewing Zach Shattuck or Jamal Hill, but I did one summer of swim team. Practice was at like 7 a.m. over the summer, and I couldn't bring myself to do it again. I'm not sure why swimming has to be a sport that you do so early in the morning. Like fairly certain pools are open during the day too. I'm sure you feel this more than I do, but that was my one summer of swimming and I did not go back to it. So I hope you're not waking up early every day like I had to. Anyway, moving on. Can you describe the feeling that you first had when you decided to compete, or the feeling that you had in your first meet? How did you know that this was something that was going to stick with you?
So I think I just looked around and I just like the feeling of racing itself. It's just sort of like an adrenaline you get from racing, and it's a feeling you don't really get in your sports because it's an individual sport and you can basically just push yourself for as far as you want to go.
For sure. I think any sport that involves racing, whether it's like cars or swimming or track, that's like a serious adrenaline rush. And I agree, the part that it's individual, I think would make it even more of an adrenaline rush because it's all on you, right? Like you were there to push yourself. You're pushing your teammates, of course, but like I think mid-race, it's probably more yourself mentally and things, which kind of leads into my next question. I didn't do that on purpose, but how do you prepare mentally for something like that when it's all on you? You know, all of your training is kind of, now is the moment to show it. How do you prepare mentally for that?
So for me, I like to go over what I want to do in the race in my head. So most of the time I just visualize. So I'll just sit before the race and just sort of like, it doesn't have to be the whole race. It could just be the parts that are most important. And you just sit and sort of just visualize what you want to do and try to make that outcome.
Absolutely. I feel like that is goal setting, right? Like I heard this in one of my other shows. I'm blanking now on which guest told me this, but she was like, I think about how I want something to be right before I do it, no matter like if it's the race or if it's practice or if it's like planning my next dinner or something like that. She was like, you have to think like 5 steps ahead of yourself every time to meet those goals and stuff. So maybe I should, now that I'm saying that, I should probably do that more, but it's fine. We're getting there. Awesome. Let's talk about training. What does a day of training look like for you? I know you're a student and you're a competitive swimmer, so I'd imagine your schedule's a bit crazy. What does this look like for you?
So almost every day I wake up at 5 a.m.
Love that
Yeah.
for you.
And then yeah, so I wake up at 5 a.m. The middle of my day is just class, 3 to 4 classes a day, and then I have an afternoon practice, and then at least twice a week I have a lift. So that's sort of in general what it's like.
That takes like serious dedication. Like you must really like to swim.
Yeah. I
I
mean, you gotta get those naps in too. So
yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did take a 15-minute nap today and I don't have the same schedule as you. So now I feel kind of guilty about my nap. Like I didn't do any of that stuff. Anyway, great. Let's go to competing. I always like to have a little bit of story time in the show. So do you have a story or a favorite memory from one of your recent competitions that you'd like to share?
So actually one of my more recent races, at nationals, I was put in a relay for the meet, and it was the 4x100 medley relay. It was me, Jamal, Sarah, and then Cody, and it was a really good relay because first of all they put me in butterfly, so I did some 100, but like I had already swam like at least 300 meters of butterfly racing, and I'm not a butterflyer, so it was sort of like spur of the moment sort of thing. But I think just my relay team, they just pushed me through it, and it was just a great memory. Like it was probably just one of the best memories I ever had because I just loved the excitement that they had.
It's so fun because we're talking about swimming being an individual sport, right? And it is when you're in the pool. But I think that the relay part of swimming is really fun for people like you who are constantly having that pressure on yourself, but to have that group of super fun, amazing people, I'm sure, that are cheering you on, I'd imagine that would be one of my favorite memories too, because believe it or not, swimming is a team sport. And I don't think people think about it that way very often. But love that. Amazing memory. I can tell how much fun you had with your smile. It's great. Moving on, another question about competing for you. What is your favorite part of a competition? Maybe you already answered this with talking about relays or your team and just the adrenaline rush, but I'm going to ask you again. Yeah, what do you like most about competing in swimming?
Um, I guess I could go into a little bit more detail. I don't really. Um, I think just having fun with it. I don't know. Like you gotta have fun with it to enjoy something. You gotta. I actually enjoy practicing a lot. I know some people don't enjoy. They only enjoy the racing part, but I love practicing. Like I just love being able to like push myself, and yeah.
It's been 2 years of this and I still can't find the mute button. It's fine. That's, yeah, I feel like that's an unpopular opinion that you have there. But I think that's also probably why you have become such a successful swimmer, right? Because people who dread practice, that's going to reflect in other things. So good on you for loving those 5 a.m. wake up calls and early practices every single day. Awesome. I'm going to go into like my last kind of section of questions, which is just about swimming, kind of your advice to everybody else, and how it's impacted your life. So how has this sport impacted your life out of the pool?
So it makes you learn how to persevere more. Because the work that you do in the pool, you can also apply to everyday life. You can apply that to academics. You can apply that to your job when you're older. If you're out of college, I think it just, especially having a disability, I think that for everyone that has a disability, I think that they should be able to take whatever they love doing and just just persevere through it. And yeah.
For sure. I totally agree. I think that's amazing. And that is really, it's really powerful. Like, I feel like those words you hear, but like, I think it's very, very true, especially for the sport of swimming too, because it is something that can be competitive and also therapeutic, I think, in a way, which is amazing for everybody. And now I kind of want to go get in the pool, but I won't do that right now because it's like 20 degrees in New York City. So maybe when it gets warmer. Anyway, you kind of already touched on this, but why should other people pick up swimming? People with disabilities, why should they pick up swimming?
I think that it just, once again, it makes you persevere through whatever you're going through. And then I think it helps me, like I said before, when I first started swimming, I used it as a physical therapy. I think it still is like that for me, because I'm able to, like, I may not, with my cerebral palsy, I may not be able to run around or do marathons, but in the pool, it's a different like playing field.
Exactly. Yes, I totally agree. Awesome. 2 more questions. What have you learned about yourself, maybe traits about yourself, through swimming?
I think being a part of the team is really like, it can, like, having team energy and all the, like, the parts of being with the team, like, really brings out a certain characteristic in you. It makes you just it makes you more excited about whether it be swimming or any other sort of team. But yeah.
For sure. That touches on what you were saying earlier about like having that energy and just being able to channel it into whatever it is you're doing, whether it is swimming or anything else. I think that's applicable to lots of things, which is why I think athletes in general have a very like teamwork kind of mindset. Like right now in school, I'm studying sports management for my master's, and I can tell that like we're all in this together, we're all sports people, we're all in this together. But I love that. Amazing. Last question for you here. This is how I end every single show, all 170 something of my shows. What piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
So I think even when I started swimming, I just tell myself, like, push through you may have a slow pace in your progress now, but it will get better as you get older, and you can do anything you want, even though you have a disability. I think you can just push through that, and you really just you can get that medal when you're older.
It's all about the progress, right? The process and the progress. I love it. That's great advice. This is why I love ending the show on this question, because I hope that it resonates and people go out and take your advice and understand that it's okay, it's coming, right? Looking forward to the future. I love it. Awesome. Well, Hannah, this was perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Hannah, thank you so very much for coming on the show and sharing your swimming adventures with us. Join us next week for another episode of Adventures with Aggie as we hop back into winter sports. We're featuring USA sled hockey player Kyle Zeich.